Now, back to The Psychology of Spirit.
But some of us believe if we don't attend church, things of another nature might be lurking. What is the devil? Is the devil truly in existence? Many people say it is, because look around you, AuKeeRa. This is just not right. Other people say there has to be good and evil, There has to be opposing forces. I question that, though. I really, really do. My God creates everything. Everything is a gift, no matter what. God created every human being on the face of the earth. And if there is a devil, if there is, God created that force too. And since in my world, God is the most powerful force there is, even if there were a devil, it would never be as powerful as God, ever. So I really question evil. I really question this belief, this fear that has been installed by religion. Why would religion create a faith that no matter how hard you try, you're always still a sinner, you're always still doing something wrong? My God is unconditionally loving, accepts me no matter what I am, where I am. My God knows I'm always doing my best, the best that I possibly can. If I look at the 10 Commandments, they are a guide. If I live my life this way, I will be a lot more content. But because we are also born with ego, we definitely love drama, and we definitely like to create problems for ourselves. When I think about God, my God, I have no fear. But yet I find a lot of religions work to create fear. That if you don't do this, something bad is going to happen to you. I live by my own personal faith. And all of us have to do the same, because everybody's personal integrity is different. Even Hitler thought he was doing the right thing when he did what he did. Me, myself, I could never do anything like that. But it is my right to judge. No, it's not my personal right to judge anyone, unless called to by our legal system. It is not my personal right to judge on the level of God. Is it my right to have an opinion? Of course it is. It's all of our rights to have an opinion. It doesn't mean my opinion's right. Even in this show, it doesn't mean my opinion's right. It simply means it's my opinion. So is there a devil? And what do you believe? Do you believe that there is a force just as powerful as God, that was evil, that is evil? Do you believe it was a fallen angel named Lucifer? What do you believe? What works for you? I was standing on the balcony when I lived in Edmonton, Alberta, convinced that I was living in hell. Because according to the Bible, hell contained everything that the world contains today. And I said to God, I can't believe this. I'm living in hell. And he looked at me with his hand out and said, if hell is this, and then he turned his hand over, he said, what is this? And it was in that swift moment that I realized I can either choose to see heaven here, or I can choose to see hell. But both were here at the same time. So that brought me to understand, if I choose to see evil, it will be all around me. If I choose to believe and see that everything has been created by God and everything is good, it will bring me so much more contentment. It will bring me to a place of peace and understanding. It will bring me to the ability to accept other people, whether or not I agree with what they're doing. It will take all evil away. it will make me not fear God. So should you fear God? The first Old Testament, is a lot different than the New Testament. For there was a lot of belief that God would smite you down, that you would be killed by God, by the very source that created us. Now, parents often joke, I brought you into this world, I can take you out. But really, when we die, we get to go home. So, if God was just taking us home, that wouldn't be a bad thing now, is it? There's very conflicting views if you actually objectively look at the Bible. And I'm not saying discount it. If it's part of your belief system, just look at it objectively. Because remember, it was written for a masses that couldn't even read in a time when things were handed simply by stories. In the year 2010, we have evolved greatly. We all read. We all write. We all think for ourselves. And this is why you must use it to add to your belief, not become your sole source of belief. Because all of us have developed the ability of prayer. We've developed a larger understanding of what we can get for our own information. So should you fear God? That's your personal choice. If you believe that God's going to hurt you, judge you, and that's what your religion has taught you, then chances are, yes, you will fear God. If you take an objective look and decide that your God is unconditionally loving, then you must ask, why would I fear God? Well, what about sinecure? If I'm sinning, he's going to be angry with me. He's going to be disappointed in me. But remember, those qualities are of an ego, a human ego. And God, source of all creation, doesn't have the lowly ego intact. That God has no ego. If you believe in an unconditionally loving God, there is no ego. Therefore, there is no judgment. We don't have to work to please God. That's an egotistical thing, too. That's a very human quality. Unconditionally loving is actually not in the Bible anywhere. I've looked for it over and over again, and those words are not in there. But my personal belief, and many people that I know, believe that God is unconditionally loving. So if the Bible works for you and you believe it word for word, yes, you will fear God. If you are developing your own faith, trying to muddle your way through all the things that are available to us today, and you believe that God is unconditionally loving, then no, you will not fear God. And no, there can't be the existence of a devil. It's just not possible. So if there's no existence of the devil, you can't fear the devil. And believe you me, in my line of work, I deal with a lot of this. And when I'm working in a clairvoyant state, I find the compassion to be unbelievable. Everybody's religion is supported when I do readings. Remember the views of the coffee cup? They are all supported. If a person firmly believes in their religion, the answers are given that way. They're not told to change their belief system. They're told that they are right for them. They are told how to navigate within their own belief system. So I'm telling you, what you believe is right for you. Just make sure you believe it because you understand it, not because, well, it's what I was taught. We are not meant to mimic. We are meant to find faith. We are meant to find what's right for us. So therefore, you must find if the devil's in existence for you. Is there such an evil force lurking? All of us have been, most of us have been taught that we must have the opposing forces. You must know evil to see the good. It's one of the biggest lines used. However, I look at it as another way. What if it's like a battery? Positive and negative working together. For heaven's sakes, we have the ego, which, if there is evil, that would be it. And we have the positive, which often we have to add in. Remember, we're born spirit first. And what about the flow of yin-yang? Even though it's black and white, it's the flow. Birth and death. Does that mean birth is good and death is evil? Remember, death, we get to go home. So if you start to look at life as a flow, without good and bad opposing forces, and having a creative force, again, it takes away the need for the existence of a devil. It also takes away the need for sin. If God is unconditionally loving, there is no sin. And remember, though, religion was created to aid a masses who needed guidance. We used to be extremely barbaric as human beings. We didn't really value life, but then again, we didn't really value ourselves either. And we're still working really hard on valuing and accepting ourselves. It seems to be a process that's taking us a lot of time. But at the same time, remember that before we came here, we were spirit first. Totally unconditionally loving as well. In a state of perfection at all times. We are birth of that. Remember, we are created in God's image, even according to the Bible. Therefore, we are created in birth and perfection. So if this is true, and we are doing the best that we can in each and every moment, being taken care of by an unconditionally loving God, where does sin come into it? Yes, we have to have our own personal values. So it's up to us to live at our own integrity level, and all of those will vary. For some of us, lying by omission is acceptable. For some of us, lying is acceptable. For some of us, it's not. For some of us, being verbally judgmental is acceptable. For others of us, it is not. So who is right and who is wrong? Let's talk about that in a second.